This video is going to be my reaction to the Ravens' 16-13 loss to the Eagles week 1 of the preseason, a game that showed us some of the skills and talents of some of our young players, and the depth of the roster, I think, was on full display. Maybe not explosive plays, certainly not a lot of scoring, and none on the kickoff once again. The 6-6 tie at halftime was eerily reminiscent of last year's preseason game against the Eagles. Just had so much of the same game flow to me. Eagles had 2 drives early where they looked like they were giving the Ravens defense real problems out of 11 personnel, particularly with the run game into the boundary. I'll actually show you an Eagles possession, or I'll show you the breakdown data that I keep track of. Nonetheless, a lot of guys for the Ravens had great opportunities tonight, a lot of young players. One thing that I want to mention is not related to a young player. For me, it's really good to see a guy like John Ross getting a chance to resurrect his career. I know Wiggins did a really nice job on him multiple times. I think Ross did get one catch on him off the right side, like on a comeback, 8-10 yards depth. But as a former number 1 pick, a guy who I don't think played a down the last 2 years in the NFL, it's pretty cool to see him back out there getting an opportunity at least. Back to the game flow, like I said, it was very similar to the 2023 preseason game with the Eagles, grinding out first downs in their first 2 drives on what I would call a ball control offense. Now, it's not a ball control offense when they have Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and all of their starters out there, but the 2 preseason games when we've seen them, that 11 personnel run game into the boundaries has really given the Ravens problems. Ravens were able to settle down defensively, force 3 punts thereafter in the first half, get to that 6-6 tie at the half. For me, it was really unusual to see Kenny Pickett out there in an Eagles uniform, having faced him multiple times, with the Steelers. I didn't think he played really well. He certainly didn't make any splash plays. He tried to go up the sideline a handful of times to his right against Wiggins, to his left against J.A.D. Did get 1 defensive pass interference call against J.A.D. and did get 1 completion against Wiggins for, like I said, 8 or 10 yards, maybe 11 up the right-hand side. Multiple guys played well in the defensive secondary. I thought that those guys played extremely well. Nate Wiggins, before the injury, which obviously concerns us all, Harbaugh, I guess, has come out and said they won't know anything until the morning. So won't give it any more thought until we hear more news. But J.A.D. had some moments on the outside as well. It was good to see him healthy and looking athletic. Did look like he bulked up a little bit. Holman is a interesting corner as well. I didn't realize that he played in every game for the Texans last year. He kind of reminds me of a Daryl Worley on the outside, he being Holman. I'll let you guys see some of the offensive and defensive stats flow through here a little bit as we talk about guys that played well or maybe didn't. Pepe Williams was one, got some run, looked quick and athletic on defense, that is. Did not like him at punt returner at all, but on defense, to see him and J.A.D. get reps that the coaches can evaluate, to see him put in multiple coverage situations was good. I thought Pepe was in on 2 tackles right around the hash. Trenton Simpson got a lot of experience. I think he had a game-high 11 tackles. Some plays really good, some not so much. I thought his block destruction, his take on, was pretty good on 3 separate times where he had to come downhill and try to smack someone in the mouth. Now, unfortunately, on 2 of those situations, no one else was there for whatever reason, whatever the scheme was. Maybe there was an RPO attached to the other side that held the backside inside linebacker. I am confused about one of his take-ons. It was a counter scheme, and he comes downhill and goes low on the offensive lineman. I thought new NFL rules prohibited some of that stuff, going low, but perhaps that applies to outside what most people call the box, which is really the free blocking zone. Josh Ross was active again, even though I thought I saw him at outside linebacker once, or maybe he was just lined up to blitz. The Ravens have a ton of depth on defense. It becomes obvious when you see the gameplay over a 60-minute game. We saw mostly second and third string guys out there tonight, absent some people that are going to be playing early. Hopefully Nate Wiggins is one of them, right? Unless it's a serious injury. But all of the guys that went out there on defense, good technique to get to the ball. Guys like Bo Brad, Sanusi Kane, the other inside linebacker that's a rookie, Rigby. And then there was another Daryl Worley sighting. He's a guy who can play if and when you need him to in the event of injury. On the offensive side, Josh Johnson, I was a little surprised that he finished 4 of 12 statistically. I would have thought he had 6 completions, maybe 7. If someone told me he was 7 of 12, I guess I would have believed that, but I certainly didn't think it was just 4 of 12 because during the game, some of my notes were makes quick decisions. He's smart. He doesn't let go of the ball when it's the wrong read. 2 times the Eagles, I thought, switched coverages a little bit post-snap, and Josh Johnson was getting ready to throw the football and held on to it because he recognized there's a player who's going to be in that window if I release the ball here. Not only does he make quick decisions, he's got a quick release. Now, the arm strength, pushing the ball down the field, clearly would be the relative weakness for Josh Johnson at this point. But when he decides to get rid of the football, when he has a read, he makes quick decisions, I should say. And then once he makes a quick decision, gets rid of the ball really fast as well. I thought the offensive line had long stretches where they looked good. There was multiple configurations, and they were playing against some pretty good players on the Eagles' front 6 or front 7. A lot of configurations. Ben Cleveland at center. Voorhees played a ton at left guard. I thought Macari and Rosengarten rotated at right tackle for much of what I saw. I can't wait to see the film when it comes out tomorrow, the all-22 in the end zone angle. I really can't offer much comment on the offensive line other than the combination of Johnson getting rid of the ball quick, making quick decisions, and the offensive line in pass pro, what I thought playing quite well, made it such that it looked like they played better than maybe they actually did. I don't know that. I can't offer that summary judgment with 100% surety until I think maybe what I'll do is after I record this, rewatch the offense and just pay attention, rewatch the broadcast and just pay attention to the offensive line. I spend so much time during the game charting the information, trying to get stuff down on paper that I might miss, who the right tackle is, or if we subbed out, a left guard or something like that. Like I said, it was really unusual to see that Kenny Pickett in the Eagles uniform. I think he finished 13 of 21. Maybe it was 13 of 24, something like that. A lot of RPOs inside. And this game, as I said, was eerily reminiscent of last year's. And I want to show one play from last year's game. And unfortunately, it does have David Ojabo on the field. But it's what I would call a same-side run. And there's a reason why I'm showing you this. I'm going to show you the Eagles' second possession in a moment. And when I say same-side run, means the running back is generally trying to attack the same side where he lined up. This happens to be an A gun in the terminology that I use. Running back, tight end, same side. You can see the tight end stepping out to David Ojabo. Running back ends up on the midline in a mesh with the quarterback, and then veering it back off of those down blocks to the same side where he lined up. If you want to call that a bound, really it's a middle run play, but we refer to it as same side run when it's not crossing the quarterback's face in an attempt to get over to the other side. So from our perspective, it would be as if the running back crossed over left to right from our perspective over there where like Malik Harrison and Tavius Robinson are. That would not be a same side run, which is the reason why we use the terminology to be able to communicate it quickly. And the reason why I'm showing it to you is because on the Eagles' second possession, I think this does a great job of illustrating how often they go to this out of 11 personnel. Look at, again, this is second possession. Ravens are up 3-0. After 2 big plays, I think, on the Ravens' first drive to Owen Wright, got them down there, and then they stalled out 3 and out after the 2 first downs, had to kick a field goal. So now the Eagles' second possession, look at all the same side runs. Look at all the 11 personnel. 11 personnel, or personnel is the third column over from the left. And then SSR is, same side run. Gainwell, Shipley, multiple times on this drive. And then the cheat play for the touchdown. Cheat plays where Shipley runs out into the flats. Quarterback normally reverse pivots. I believe they had the receiver, Wilson, come down and pin down on the outside linebacker, Harrison, so that the quarterback could get the edge. Not sure coverage-wise from a Ravens standpoint who was supposed to go out there on him. I don't like using this word, but I feel like it is a word that encompasses what a lot of teams do. It's glitch stuff is really what it is. It's a pick or a rub concept that forces the Ravens defense to switch and or have someone try to fight over the top. It creates conflict. It's a legal sound scheme or concept. But when I say it's a cheat play or when I say it's tricky is because it's taking advantage of the space and utilizing a pick or a rub concept to do so. No one's winning a one-on-one. There's no clear design that is intricate, or we should say, hey, that's a play that I want to be able to design and teach people. It's very simple, pick rub stuff, almost like a pick and roll in basketball, referring to the cheat play on the second and goal from the 7. But so many same side runs. I wanted to show it to you, the film. Obviously can't do that from the game tonight, but I found one from last year, which I think illustrates my point, is that the way they attacked the Ravens was extremely similar to the same way they did it last year's preseason. Now, I guess one way to look at it from a Ravens perspective is maybe that means we're in the same scheme defensively. We have the same schematic weakness. Way too early to say that, obviously, especially with the players we had on the field today. So this is the Ravens' second possession that matches and then ends up tying the game 6-6 because the Eagles kicker missed the extra point. I did think that Tylan Wallace made a sick catch. I believe it was on this possession. Also, Kirkwood, who's a name that I haven't really heard a whole lot, looked like an RPO. That would be the third play or second play, excuse me, the first play of the second quarter, the second play of this drive, 2nd and 4 from the negative 41. Ravens converted 2 2nd and 8s on this drive. One of them was a blitz that Josh Johnson identified quickly and got it out to Wallace, a spectacular catch for a 19-yard gain. Wright had a handful of runs on this one, including another jet zone opposite that's under center that Monken uses often. A couple of incomplete passes, and then Josh Johnson tries to scramble up the middle, unable to make anything of it. Ravens have to settle for a field goal. Offensively, not really much to say in the second half when Devin Leary came in. Of course, we struggled a lot. The offensive line had been subbed in and out a little bit. One thing I want to bring up, this is an observation from watching the Lions game Thursday night, the Ravens game Friday night, and most of the Texans and Bears game last week. And this is going to be an unpopular opinion, I would guess. But I'm willing to go and find the data based on the plays that I have. I wonder what the average starting position is on a kick return that's actually returned so far. Meaning, not one that's kicked in the end zone, or not one that hits before the 20-yard line. I believe in those two situations, the ball is dead. If it doesn't make it to the 20 on a bounce, and it goes into the end zone, it has to be kneeled, obviously. So I wonder what the average starting position is. And the reason why I'm wondering about that is after seeing the Ravens and Eagles tonight and seeing so many of the returns I thought ended up near the 30 anyway, if you have a really good defense, why not consider kicking the ball in the end zone a large proportion of the time? I don't mean every single time. There's going to be some creativity by the kickoff teams, I'm sure, and creativity by the return teams. Based on the 3 games that I've seen so far, there seems to be this real restricting of space. The guys who are covering on the coverage team seem to be defeating blocks well and holding their leverage, not giving returners much space at all, and the 2 safeties are oftentimes able to fold and fit inside in perfect fashion. It doesn't look like there's going to be more space to me in this limited sample size we have so far. So if you have any information or you can find a site that illustrates what the average starting position is on one that's been returned, please let me know. I'll try to go through and do that organically based on the 2 or 3 games that I've watched. Again, Bears, Texans last week, Lions, Giants Thursday night, Ravens, Eagles. Now, it's a thought that I had, if you have a really good defense, that it might be something you want to consider doing often if you need to preserve players or not get players involved in possible scrums or roll-ups like we're going to see on those returns. Anyway, I thought the defense tightened up significantly after those first 2 drives. In terms of Wiggins, we got the entire show from him, except for the interception. Rod Woodson, I thought, did a fantastic job of talking about what he could do to play the ball in certain situations. Woodson being a Hall of Fame defender, obviously. And Wiggins, to me, has pure talent to be a starter in this league right now, assuming that he's healthy and able to go out there starting next week. Who knows what the injury was? I'm sure from a Ravens fan's perspective, we were all like, "What's he doing on the field at this point?" I can't argue with people who have that perspective. I was kind of one of them. I can't argue with someone who says, "What was he doing out there in the third quarter after he'd already shown us a lot of talent, a lot of ability in the first half?" I really can't argue with that at all. It was cool for me to see so many receivers, I should say, get the opportunity to get catches in the game for the Ravens. I think there were 9 different guys who were targeted. Maybe it was 10. Tylan Wallace looks like the best of the guys we saw tonight. Interesting to me that Russell Gage only got in the second half. I thought he had one target, maybe. There was a little bit of a high throw. Uh, as a proven NFL receiver, a guy with, I think, 244 catches in the last 4 years, it was a little surprising to me. So, I hope he's healthy enough such that the Ravens can actually use him if we have a guy go down. You have to let me know what you thought of the offense. It certainly wasn't fun to watch. A thought that we had in our Discord was that the Eagles' offense looks systemic, whereby there are foundational plays that are designed to put you in conflict by alignment. And then based on your alignment, the head coach has the opportunity to call a different play, or the quarterback probably has two plays called in the huddle and can call either one of those. Now, the Ravens do, the quarterback can call either one of those once they've lined up. The Ravens do that as well. Monken and Lamar have talked about that in 2023. But we have such a wide variety of formations, personnel groups that we do. So it's almost a little bit more diverse what the Ravens do. I think there's a higher standard of execution for the Ravens offense. And that might be one of the reasons why in preseason you have, I think I even said this in the preview last night, Josh Johnson's going to lead 2 scoring drives, I think I said touchdowns, in pretty much every preseason game he plays in. He did it last year. Remember the Bucs game? They zipped downfield against the Bucs starting defense pretty much on the first possession. It's one of those things I think the Ravens offense is a little bit more diverse, has a little bit more width to it. The expectation level for what you have to be able to execute as a quarterback, whereas at least the Eagles' preseason offense, maybe not the one with Jalen Hurts and others, their vanilla version, I guess, looks very foundational, very systemic, very if-then. We're going to line up this way. If you do this, then we're going to do something to counter it. And they have those if-then statements. They have those built-in procedure or progressions of plays that I feel like they do a great job attacking to the boundary with the same side runs with some RPOs. The Ravens defenders generally did a pretty good job tonight, if you ask me. Nonetheless, I was impressed with the Eagles' offense for the second preseason in a row. When they have backups out on the field, they're still able to get things accomplished. I believe they had a 13-play drive tonight and an 18-play drive. They had a 17-play drive in the second half and a 15-play drive in the first half. Last year, I believe they had a 10-play drive and a 14-play drive to begin the game. They clearly have the ability to move the football against the Ravens defense with the talent level that's on the field in these situations. We'll find out in Week 13 if that continues when both teams presumably have their best players on the field, health permitting. In any case, you guys have to let me know what aspects of this game were interesting to you, what you'd like to see covered in a film study video. Certainly people are going to create content about the offensive line. If guys like Cole Jackson and such are going to focus on that, I'm going to leave that to them and then do something offensive line related, maybe later on in the week to let him kind of have that theater. I definitely would like to do a video on Nate Wiggins and Trenton Simpson, two young guys that got us a lot of snaps on defense, at least in the first half in Wiggins' case, and had an opportunity to show what they could do. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this review, this commentary review of the Ravens' 16-13 loss to the Eagles, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.